Bim, 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 bam. Shiri, biri, biri, bim. Bam, bim, 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 bam. Bim, 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 bam. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Welcome, good Shabbos, and a happy Thanksgiving weekend to all. We're going to begin with Ma Yafeh Hayom, how beautiful is this day, on page 128.
Shabbat Shalom, Maya Hayom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
131. Shiru Ladonai, Shiru Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Shiru Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru Miyom Leyom, Yeshuato, Shiru Ladonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basru Miyom Leyom, Yeshuato. Page 132. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth exalt. Let the sea and all within it thunder. The fields and everything in them exalt. Then shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy at the presence of Adonai, who is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the world justly and its peoples in faithfulness. Page 138. We greet the Shabbat bride. Lecha dodi likakal, yalala, 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 May Shabbat, lekabela. Lecha dodi likakala, yalala, 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 May Shabbat, lekabela. Shamor bezachor bedibor achad, Ishmianu El Hamiyuchad, Adonai Echad, Ushmo Echad, V'Shemu Tiferet V'li Tila, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Yalala, 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 Be'Shabbat, Kabbalah Lechadodi Likatala Yalala 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 Shabbat Kabbalah Mikdash Melech Ir Melucha Kumitzei Mitocha Hapecha Ravlach Shevet Be'emek Havacha V'hu Yachamot Alai Chemla Lechadodi Likatala Yalala 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 Shabbat Kabbalah Lechadodi Likatala Yalala 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 Shabbat Kabbalah Hitoreri Kiva Ore Tumi Uri Shir Daveri Kevod Adonai Alayich Migla Lechadodi Likatala Yalala 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 Shabbat Kabbalah Lechadodi Likatala Yalala 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 Shabbat Kabbalah V'hayulim Shisha She'osai V'rachaku Kol Malayich Yasis Alayich Elohai Himsos Chatan Al Kala Lechadodi Likatala Yalala 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 Shabbat Kabbalah Lechadodi Likatala Yalala 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 Shabbat Kabbalah Oy v'shalom ateret ba'ala Gam v'simcha u'etzola Toch emunei am segula Oy kala Lechadodi likatala Yalla 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 Shabbat Kabbalah Lechadodi Likatala Yalla 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 Shabbat Kabbalah. Page 263. Yet Gadal Viet Gadash Shemei Rabba Biamadi Rachi Rute Viamlich Malchute Bechayechon Uvyomechon Uvchaye Decho Beit Yisrael Bagala Ubizman Kari Vimru Amen Yeshmei Rabba Mevorach Leolam lo me'omaya yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitruman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata kush b'chata v'nechemata damiran b'alma v'yemeru Amen. Page 264, we rise as able for Baruch Hu. Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice?
Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yalla la la la, 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 yalla la la la. Baruch et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. Le'olam va'ed. Le'olam va'ed. Yalla lie, 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 yalla lie, lie, lie. Please be seated, page 265. Adonai, your majesty is proclaimed by the marvels of earth and sky. Sun, moon, and stars testify to your power and your wisdom. Day follows day in endless succession, and the years vanish, but your sovereignty endures. Though all things pass, let not your glory depart from us. Help us to become co-workers with you and endow our fleeting days with abiding worth. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. 266. Ahavat olam beit Yisrael, Amcha ha'afta. Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, V'shokmeinu v'kumeinu, nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha, Olam va'ed, ki hem mechayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem nega, yomam v'layla. Shabbat chalta sirmi menu lolamim, baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam v'levanecha v'dibarta ba B'shivtecha b'veitecha u'lachtecha havaderech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam la'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha u'chavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai Bitem kedoshim leloechem, ani Adonai Eloechem, asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lihiot lachem le'Elohim, ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, amen.
Moshe and Miriam Uvenei Yisrael Lechanu Shira B'Simcha Rabbah V'Amru Chulam. Page 270. Yalai lai 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 yalai lai 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 yalai lai 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 yalai 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 lai 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 mi chamocha balim Adonai mi kamocha nedar bakodesh Norat hilot osefela Norat hilot osefela Mahalekutecha rahu Bokei ayam lifnei Moshe Miriam Se'eli anu ve'amru Leilam ba'ed Yalai lai 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 Yalai lai 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 Yalai lai 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 Yalai lai 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 Yalai lai 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 Yalai lai 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 Yalai lai lai. Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Yaakov from a hand stronger than his own. Baruch atah Adonai Ga'al Yisrael. Ashkivenu, a prayer for peace, for shelter, page 271.
Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Hamidenu Malkeinu l'chayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we meet with morning light. Teach us daily wrong from right, O Adonai. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Shamru, page 272.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la 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 la. V'shameru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat Dorotam berit olam. Beni uvein bnei Israel, Odi leolam leolam, ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim et haaretz, uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat ha'inafash. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
Page 163, 163. Thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind, joy in the trees. Shabbat arrives in the world, shattering a song in the stillness of the night, and eternity utters a day. Eternity utters a day. Adonai Sfatai Tihiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai Sfatai Tihiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Ya lai lai, ya lai lai, ya lai la lai lai, ya lai lai, ya lai la lai lai, lai lai, ya lai lai, ya lai lai, lai lai la lai lai, ya lai lai, ya lai, ya lai lai lai. We rise as able, page 166. Ad Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibur Vanora El Elyon Umel Chasadim Tovim Bekonei Hakol V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot Umevi Goel Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo B'Yahava Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayei Metim Atarav Lehoshia Mashiva Ruach Umorid Hagashem Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechayei Metim Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Berofech Olim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato B'shenei afar, michamocha bal gevurot, umidal melach, melech memid, umachayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'nemanat halachayot metim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye HaMetim. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Continue on our own, the Hebrew or the English, through page 178, or your own heart's private prayers and meditations. When you are finished, you may be seated.
Shalom Rab, Yisrael, Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rab, Yisrael, Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Ki atah Melech Adon L'kol HaShalom. 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 Shalom Rab, Yisrael, Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rab, Yisrael, Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. V'tov b'nei levareches Amcha Yisrael. 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 B'chol עת ובכל שעה. ב'chol עת ובכל שעה. ב'chol עת ובכל שעה. בשלומך. Shalom Rab, Yisrael, Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rab, Yisrael, Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Baruch atah Adonai
180 on the bottom.
And join us. The chorus will become very obvious, and we'll do it a few times.
Say shalom b'romo, say shalom aleinu. Say shalom b'romo, say shalom aleinu. Say shalom b'romo, say shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, Yahweh Israel. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, Yahweh Israel. Say shalom b'romo, Yaseh shalom aleinu. Say shalom b'romo, say shalom aleinu. Oh, say shalom b'romo, say shalom aleinu. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, Yahweh Israel. 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 Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, Yahweh Israel.
Yasher koach. So on this weekend of Thanksgiving and then the beginning of Hanukkah, there is much for which we might be thankful. And I invite anybody who has anything that they would like to share. If you are online, you can type sources of your gratitude into the chat. If you're here, I invite you to share anything that you're grateful for on this Shabbat. Large life cycle events, small little things along the way, whatever it be.
I feel good.
Oh,
That's important. Yeah.
Molly?
So my daughter Sarah and Tova are together right now for Thanksgiving, and we got to light Shabbat candles via WhatsApp together. My son was still working, but it's just like, wow, many made to be together. And quickly, a couple of years ago, for Hanukkah, we were in Israel with Rabbi Dan and a whole group of us from Kabi. Yeah, it was a little later then, but yeah.
Sylvia?
I feel grateful being able to live here in the company of my daughter and my grandchildren. So this is the first time really in 18 years that I've been able to celebrate Hanukkah with them as a family.
Beautiful. I don't have to. I supposedly, we now have a mic in the middle of the room that will pick everybody up. So hopefully if you're watching, you can hear. Andrea.
I'm just grateful that we're all back together in person instead of just remotely. It feels so different to me.
Yes, and very much share that. So for all of us to be together and hoping it continues. Randall.
I'm grateful that my son is here visiting, although he will not be here.
Welcome, Jesse. Okay. Yeah. Other? Online, Zach, do we have anything in the chat? No. Okay. So for all that we are grateful for We say, Modimanach Nulach, we give thanks to you, eternal one, creator and sustainer and source of life. May we go from strength to strength, and may we offer our abundant gratitude for your many, many blessings along life's path. And let us say, Amen. Blessings for healing. Invite anyone who has, again, if you are watching online, you can type into the chat names of people you are holding close for healing at this time. If you're here, feel free to share some names.
David Salford, Doug Spears, Wilson John Hall.
Okay.
Beverly Zumwalt.
Andrea?
My sister Eileen and my daughter Elizabeth.
Gail?
Jessica Hughes.
Valerie?
Sabrina Vogel.
Shira
and Ivan and Dave's house.
For Max Strunk Garcia and Marty Seidenfeld. For these, any in the chat? So for these and for all who are holding close, Misha Beira, Prayer for Healing, it's on page 371. So a story for this Thanksgiving weekend. For a lot of years, I read this story. I haven't done it for a few years. So Molly's Pilgrim by Barbara Hill. I didn't like the school in Winter Hill. In Winter Hill, they laughed at me. Elizabeth laughed most of all. I never raised my hand to answer a question, but when Miss Stickley called on me, I had to say something. My English wasn't perfect yet, so Elizabeth giggled at whatever I said. Miss Stickley would stare at her and then she'd shut up. But later in the schoolyard, she'd say, "You talk funny, Molly. You look funny, Molly." And then she'd sing a song, "Jolly Molly, your eyes are awfully small. Jolly Molly, your nose is awfully tall." Hilda and Kitty would sing the song too, and sometimes even Faye and Emma, because they all admired Elizabeth. She brought peppermint sticks to school and handed them out to all her friends at recess. One day, Elizabeth and Hilda followed me halfway home singing that terrible song. I started to run. When I got to our apartment, I burst into tears. It was all right, I could cry in front of my mother. She put her arms around me. I leaned my head against her chest. She felt like a big, soft cushion. "Shane, kite, what's the matter?" she asked. My mother didn't speak much English. She talked to me in Yiddish. "Mama, let's go back to New York City," I said. In this third grade, there aren't any other Jewish children. I don't like to talk. I don't talk like the other girls. They make fun of me. I hate going to school. Oy, Malkala, Mama said. You can't go back to New York. In New York, Papa had to work in a factory. We had to live in a poor tenement house. Here in Winter Hill, Papa has a good job in Mr. Brodsky's store downstairs. And Mr. Brodsky even lets us live in this nice apartment. Well, then let's go back to Gorodok, I suggested. We only came to this country last winter. I bet we could get our old house back. If the Cossacks haven't burned it down, Mama snapped. They burned the synagogue. One day, who knows, they would have burned us. I mean, they grow like onions with their heads in the ground. I had known all along that we couldn't really go back to Russia. Mama went on, I'll go to your school. I'll talk to the teacher. She'll make them stop teasing you. No, Mama, no. I interrupted quickly. You don't have to do that. I did not want Miss Stickley or Elizabeth to see Mama. She didn't talk like the other mothers. She hardly talked English at all. She didn't look like them either. I'll be all right, I said. I'll talk to Miss Stickley myself. But of course, I didn't. I dragged myself back to school day after day after day. Nothing changed, but I didn't say another word about it to Mama. Then one day in November, during reading, Miss Stickley said, open your books to page 132. It was a new story. I liked it when we started, a new story. You may begin, Molly, Miss Stickley said. I looked at the title. The first, I shook my head. Miss Stickley, I said, I don't know that word. It's a hard word, Molly, Miss Stickley said, especially if you haven't seen it before. Who can tell Molly what that word is? Several hands shot up and Miss Stickley called on Elizabeth. Thanksgiving, she announced, tossing her long black corkscrew curls. I thought everyone knew that. Thanksgiving, he repeated. Thanksgiving, what's Thanksgiving? Elizabeth snorted. You don't even know Thanksgiving? I guess you people don't celebrate American holidays. Miss Stickley ignored Elizabeth. The story will explain the word, Molly, she said to me. Go ahead, start reading. I read 3 sentences. I didn't stumble over any more words. Then Miss Stickley told Arthur to read. We took turns. It was a good story about the pilgrims and how they'd started the holiday of Thanksgiving. I had never heard of pilgrims before. Now, children, Miss Stickley said, I'm tired of decorating the room with paper turkeys and paper pumpkins every Thanksgiving. I thought it would be fun to do something different this year. She pointed to the sand table at the back of the room that had stood empty since September. We'll make a model of the pilgrim village of Plymouth, celebrating the first Thanksgiving. We'll make the houses and the church here and school, but I want you to make the people at home. You can make dolls out of clothespins. The boys can make Indians and the girls can make pilgrims. Her eyes move from one face to another. If you sit in row 1, 2, or 3, make a woman. If you sit in row 4, 5, or 6, make a man. I sat in row 2. I had to make a pilgrim woman. Bring your dolls tomorrow, Miss Stickley said. Then I'll show you how to make houses out of cardboard. When I got home, Mama said to me, like always, "Nu, Shankite, do you have any homework?" I need a clothespin, I said. A clothespin? What kind of homework is a clothespin? I have to make a doll out of it, a pilgrim doll. Mama frowned. Nu, Malkala, what's a pilgrim? I searched for the words to explain pilgrim to Mama. Pilgrims came to this country from the other side, I said. Like us, Mama said. That was true. They came for religious freedom, I added. Mama's eyes lit up. She seemed to understand. Do you have any other homework, she asked. Yes, I said, I have 10 arithmetic problems. They're hard. Do them, she said, and then go out and play. I'll make the doll for you. I'll make it tonight and it'll be ready in the morning. Just make sure it's a girl doll, I said. Naturally, Mama replied, who ever heard of a boy doll? I didn't bother to explain. The next morning, when I sat down at the table for breakfast, the doll was at my place. Maybe she had started out as a clothespin, but you'd have never known it to look at her. Mom had covered the clothespin with cloth and stuffing. She had made hair out of dark brown yarn and embroidered eyes, a nose, and a mouth on the face. She had dressed the doll in a long, full red skirt, tiny black felt boots, and a bright yellow high-necked blouse. She had covered the yarn hair with a yellow kerchief embroidered with red flowers. She's gorgeous, Mama, I managed to murmur. Mama smiled, satisfied. But Mama, I added slowly, she doesn't look like the pilgrim women in the picture in my reading book. No, Mama said. No, she looks like you in that photograph you have that was taken when you were a girl. Mama's smile turned into a laugh. Of course, I did that on purpose. You did, Mama. Why? What's a pilgrim, Shane Kite? Mama asked. A pilgrim is someone who came here from the other side to find freedom. That's me, Molly. I'm a pilgrim. I was sure there was something wrong with what Mama was saying. She was not the kind of pilgrim Miss Stickley or the reading book had been talking about. But it was too late to make another doll now. All I could do was take the only one I had to school with me. Most of the dolls were out on the desks. I had carried mine in a little paper bag. I put it inside my desk without even taking it out of the bag. The bell hadn't rung yet. Elizabeth and Hilda were walking up and down the aisles, pointing to the dolls and whispering. When they came to my desk, Elizabeth said in a low voice, Miss Stickley's gonna be so mad at you, Molly. She doesn't like people that don't do their homework. I did it, I muttered. Well, then let's see it. I shook my head. You didn't do it. You didn't, you didn't, you didn't. I opened the desk and took out the paper bag. I closed the desk and set the bag on top. Slowly, I pulled out the doll. Oh my goodness, Molly sighed. How can anybody be as dumb as you, Molly? That's not a pilgrim. Miss Stickley's gonna be really mad at you. She's gonna get you this time. My face felt hot as fire. I looked down at my desktop. The bell rang. Elizabeth and Hilda rushed to their seats, and I shoved the doll into my desk. After morning exercises, Miss Stickley began to walk around the room, just as Elizabeth had. She looked at each one of the dolls. Why, Michael, what a magnificent headdress. Where did you find so many feathers? Sally, she's lovely, such an interesting face. Such beautiful gray silk, Elizabeth. Yours is a very rich pilgrim. I think she's the best so far, Elizabeth said. Well, she's very good, Miss Stickley allowed. Then Miss Stickley came to me. Without looking up, I pulled my doll out of the desk. I heard Elizabeth laugh out loud. My goodness, Molly, that's not a pilgrim. That's some kind of Russian or Polish person. What does a person like that have to do with pilgrims? She's very beautiful, Miss Stickley said. Perhaps Molly just didn't understand. I looked up at Miss Stickley. Mama said, I began. Elizabeth giggled again. Miss Stickley put her hand on my shoulder. Tell me what your mama said, Molly. This doll is dressed like Mama, I explained slowly. Mama came to America for religious freedom too. She said she's a pilgrim. Elizabeth hooted. She wasn't the only one. Miss Stickley marched up to the front of the room. She turned and faced the class. Listen to me, Elizabeth, she said in a loud voice. Listen to me, all of you. Molly's mother is a pilgrim. She's a modern pilgrim. She came here just like the pilgrims long ago, so she should worship God in her own way in peace and freedom. Miss Stickley stared at Elizabeth. Elizabeth, do you know where the pilgrims got the idea for Thanksgiving? They just thought it up, Miss Stickley, Elizabeth said. No, Elizabeth, Miss Stickley replied. They read in the Bible about the Jewish harvest festival of tabernacles. I knew that holiday. We called it Sukkot. Miss Stickley was still talking. The pilgrims got the idea for Thanksgiving from Jews like Molly and her mama. She marched down the aisle to my desk again. May I have your doll for a while, Molly? Sure, I said. I'm going to put this beautiful doll on my desk, Miss Stickley announced, where everyone can see it all the time. It will remind us that pilgrims are still coming to America. She smiled at me. I'd like to meet your mama, Molly. Please ask her to come see me one day after school. Your doll is the most beautiful, Molly, Emma said. Emma sat next to me. It is the most beautiful one of all. I nodded. Yes, I said, I know. I decided if Miss Stickley actually invited her, it was all right for Mama to come to school. I decided something else too. It takes all kinds of pilgrims to make a Thanksgiving. Including a portion of the service will rise as able for Aleinu, page 586. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol v'tekedu v'aliyotzer breshit shelo asanu kugei ha'atzot v'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama Shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'goraleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamelachim, hakadosh baruch hu, v'nemar v'haya Adonai, l'melech Bayom Hadu, Yeh Ayakah, Ushamo, Ushamo, Ushamo Echad. So we will, in a moment, continue with Kaddish. If you are joining us online, feel free to type in the names of anyone who you are remembering at this time. We think of our loved ones, those whose death is taken from us in recent days, those who have died at this season in years past, those with whom we have drawn into our hearts together with our own. By anyone who has names of people you are remembering for God.
Louis Vogel. Aya Kinberg.
Pascal Tachman, Frederic Roua.
Cheryl Ryan.
Welcome, Gardner, Michelle.
Online. Rav Yosef and Rav Mendel Kleva. For all these and for all who we hold in our hearts, I invite the mourners and those whose custom it is to rise for Kaddish, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye echon v'yomei echon, v'chaye l'chol beit Yisrael, v'agalah v'zman kariv v'yamru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah v'barach le'olam u'mei maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramah v'yitnaseh, Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitalal, Shmei Kucha, Barichu, Le'elam, Yinkol, Birchata, V'shirata, Tushbachata, V'nechamata, Ta'aniran, V'yalma, V'yimru, Amen. Yehei Shalom, Arabim, and Shemaya, V'chayim, Aleinu, V'yolcho Yisrael, V'yimru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, V'yimru, Huya, Seh Shalom, Aleinu, V'yolcho Yisrael, Yimru, Amen. May the one who makes peace on high, let peace descend on us, on all Israel, and all the world. May comfort be with those who mourn, and let us all say, Amen. Well, announcements. Tomorrow morning, as always, our Shabbat morning service will be at 10 o'clock. We also have a number of things coming up for Hanukkah. We have a writer, Fran Hopfner, is going to be telling a story about her family and generations, and I can't remember which night that is. It's in the email blast. Next Friday night, Shabbat and Hanukkah, and a week from Sunday for the last night of Hanukkah, we're going to have our congregational Hanukkah celebration. It's going to be outdoors around the bonfire, music and stories and celebration. And any other events coming up? I want to thank our musicians, Sandy and Steve and Petra, and Zach on the sound, and Eddie on the setup. Thank you, everybody who makes this possible. And we're going to close, having noted in the story that Thanksgiving is indeed modeled on the festival of Sukkot. So one of the passages we read on Sukkot is from the book of Ecclesiastes. So we're going to kind of hearken back for our closing song, Turn, 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 page 664 from chapter 3 of Ecclesiastes.
Everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And the time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to be. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rend, a time to sow, a time to love, a time to hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Petra. Yes, Rikah. Nicely done.
You do.